When people think about friendship, they usually imagine something simple, someone you talk to, someone who helps you when you're down, or someone who shares your interests. But in psychology, friendship is not just about who you get along with. It's about patterns. It's about stages. It's about cycles. The friend cycle is not a term you'll often hear outside of psychological discussions, but it refers to something most of us experience in life. The way friendships begin, evolve, drift, sometimes end, and sometimes return in new forms. Understanding this cycle can help you make better choices about who you surround yourself with, how you handle conflict, and how you grow socially and emotionally as a person. Every friendship starts with connection. It might be through school, work, shared hobbies, or even mutual friends. In psychology, this early stage is called the initiation phase. At this point, people usually present the best version of themselves. There's curiosity, politeness, and an effort to build trust. You laugh at each other's jokes, you find common ground, and you slowly start to feel comfortable. This stage is often light and enjoyable. It's where bonds form, but it's also where a lot of assumptions are made. Because we're only seeing part of the other person's personality, we often fill in the gaps with what we hope or expect them to be. Over time, the friendship moves into what psychologists call the build-up phase. Here, interactions become more frequent and personal. You start sharing experiences, spending more time together, and testing the emotional ground. You might begin to see flaws or notice differences, but these are usually managed well because the emotional investment is growing. During this phase, people develop trust and depend on each other more. This is where the real emotional weight of a friendship starts to take shape. It's no longer just about convenience or casual conversation. It becomes a meaningful part of your life. Eventually, many friendships reach a point where they either stabilize or decline. The stability phase is where both people have accepted each other for who they are. You know the strengths and weaknesses of your friend, and you still choose to stay connected. The relationship feels predictable and secure. You've shared enough experiences to have a foundation of trust. These are the friendships that often last for years, and sometimes for life. But even stable friendships can face challenges. Life changes, time constraints, and personal growth can all shift the dynamic. This is where the cycle becomes more complex. Sometimes, instead of stabilizing, a friendship begins to decline. This is the deterioration phase. It might happen slowly or suddenly. Maybe there's a disagreement, or one person stops making the same effort. Maybe you simply grow apart. In psychology, this phase is emotionally important because people often ignore the signs and try to hold on to something that isn't working anymore. When the balance of effort and connection breaks, the friendship starts to feel more like a memory than a living relationship. People begin to feel resentment, disappointment, or even guilt. This emotional discomfort is part of what makes the friends cycle hard to accept. We want relationships to last forever, but psychologically, most don't. And that's not necessarily a failure. It's part of how we grow. After deterioration comes either repair or withdrawal. Some friendships go through rough periods and then bounce back. This is possible when both people are emotionally aware and willing to rebuild trust. It often requires hard conversations, honesty, and time. But in many cases, friendships reach the withdrawal phase. Communication becomes rare, the emotional closeness fades, and the relationship enters the background of your life. This can be painful, especially when the friend once played a big role in your emotional world. But it's also part of a healthy social cycle. Letting go doesn't always mean cutting someone off. It can mean releasing the version of the relationship that no longer fits who you are. One important thing to understand is that the friend cycle is not always linear. People can move in and out of different stages over time. You might reconnect with an old friend after years and pick up where you left off. Or a strong friendship might go through multiple rounds of tension and repair. What matters is not how long a friendship lasts, but how it affects your mental and emotional well-being during each stage of your life. Psychological research supports the idea that people have different layers of friendship. There are core friends, the ones you trust deeply. There are close friends who you rely on regularly. Then there are casual friends, activity-based friends, and acquaintances. As your life changes, people move between these categories. This movement is part of the friends cycle. It's natural, and when we accept it, we can navigate social life with more clarity and less emotional stress. For example, think about a friend you had during high school. You may have been inseparable at the time, talking every day and sharing everything. But as you grew older, your interests changed. You moved to different cities. You pursued different goals. Over time, that friend became someone you check in with once a year. That shift doesn't mean the friendship failed. It means it followed the natural pattern of social cycles. Holding on to outdated expectations only leads to frustration. Accepting the shift allows you to appreciate the role that friend played in your life without forcing a connection that no longer fits. There's also an emotional skill involved in recognizing when to invest more in a friendship and when to step back. Psychologists call this relational intelligence. It means knowing how to read emotional cues, understand personal boundaries, and sense when a relationship is becoming unbalanced. If you're always the one initiating contact, making plans, or offering support, the friendship might be stuck in a one-sided phase. And while every relationship has ups and downs, consistently unequal effort is a sign that the cycle may be moving toward deterioration. Being aware of this doesn't mean giving up on people. It means adjusting your expectations to match reality. Another piece of the cycle is how friendships influence your identity. In psychology, there's a term called social identity theory. It means that part of how you see yourself comes from the groups you belong to. Your friends are a big part of this. They affect how you speak, what you value, how you spend your time, and even what you believe about yourself. If your friend circle is supportive, honest, and growth-oriented, you're more likely to become emotionally healthy and confident. If your circle is negative, dismissive, or stuck in old habits, you might find it harder to grow into who you want to be. This influence is not always obvious, but it's powerful. There's also a feedback loop in the friends cycle. The kind of person you are affects the kinds of friends you attract, and the friends you keep influence the kind of person you become. It's a loop that feeds itself over time. That's why personal development often involves changes in your social circle. As you grow, your values change. You start to notice which friendships support your well-being and which ones don't. Sometimes that means letting go of people who were once close. Other times it means deepening bonds with those who align with your current mindset. It's worth noting that not every friendship needs to be deep or lifelong. There's value in situational friends, those who are part of a specific phase of life or activity. A college friend, a coworker, or a gym buddy might not stay with you forever, but they serve a purpose. They offer connection, shared experience, and temporary support. The friends cycle includes these temporary bonds. Appreciating them for what they are, without trying to make them more than they're meant to be, can save you from unnecessary disappointment. In the end, the concept of a friends cycle is not about loss. It's about flow. Relationships come and go, evolve and shift, and every phase offers something valuable. The goal is not to hold on to every friendship, but to be present and honest in each stage. When we understand the cycle, we stop seeing the end of a friendship as a failure and start seeing it as part of our emotional growth. We also become more skilled at forming new connections and more thoughtful about which relationships to invest in. Psychologically, this understanding reduces anxiety and increases emotional clarity. You don't have to fear change in your social life. You just have to learn how to read it. The cycle of friendship is a natural rhythm of human connection. And when you know how it works, you're better prepared to build relationships that are supportive, sustainable, and aligned with who you're becoming, not just who you used to be.